On Friday night, Donald Trump launched an unconstitutional war of aggression against Venezuela, kidnapped its president, and is now trying to pretend this is about anything besides oil. It's not. My name is Kat Abughazaleh. I'm running for Congress in the Ninth District of Illinois, and personally, I think international law is good. Of course, this administration would probably disagree with me. But I think a lot of people are unclear right now about what's going on with Venezuela. So let's talk about Maduro, oil, and forever wars. Because right now it looks like the President of the United States wants to get us into a generational war with an oil rich nation while lying about weapons of mass destruction. Sound familiar? That's because we already did this less than 30 years ago. Friday night's attacks in Caracas, one of the most densely populated cities in Latin America, were a sharp escalation from the consistent war crimes this administration has been committing over the past few months. In December, Trump announced his illegal, immoral, and batshit crazy plan to extort Venezuela by imposing a naval blockade of its oil tankers. When asked what he would do with the oil and the tanker, Trump said, "We keep it, I guess." Sure. Why not? And all of that was already an escalation from this administration's terror campaign against random civilian boats in international waters. As of recording this, more than 100 people have been murdered in illegal drone strikes conducted by our military. The administration claims it's because of drug trafficking, but has offered no proof of that claim. And apart from these strikes being a tremendous and unnecessary waste of our resources, they are also war crimes. Remember those? They're bad. So why are we doing all of this? And what's up with the sudden escalation? Well, the Trump administration has several different bullshit reasons. Trump and his cronies often claim this is all about the drug trade and the unhinged conspiracy theory that President Nicolas Maduro is emptying Venezuela's insane asylums and sending patients to infiltrate the US by going over the US southern border. In case it wasn't clear, that's bullshit. The president hasn't shown any proof of drug trafficking to justify these strikes. And the latter claim is actually a white supremacist conspiracy theory called the Great Replacement. Trump has even reclassified fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction. So I guess all that's left is to dig up Dick Cheney's corpse for Iraq Part 2 Electric Boogaloo. But since attacking Caracas, the administration has also tried to blame these crimes on Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro being a tyrant, despite promising Congress that none of this was about regime change. And look, Maduro is not a good guy, but there is a reason countries aren't allowed to randomly bomb cities and kidnap heads of state. What's especially interesting here is that we're apparently allowed to arrest other presidents, but our own president is exempt from the law, at least according to the Supreme Court. We'll see what they have to say about this one. But Friday's night's attacks is essentially Trump showing the world, and especially our allies, that we're going to do whatever we want. And don't question us, because maybe it'll be you next. But once again, this is really all about oil. Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves on the planet, about 17% of the world's oil. And because we're America, apparently that should be ours for some reason. The tragic, laughable part about all of this is we are about to waste trillions of dollars and countless lives so Trump can fearmonger us into another generational war without congressional approval. Less than 30 years ago, we were lied to about WMDs to manufacture consent so we could invade Iraq. And just like Iraq, this is going to end the same way, with the destabilization of a region and countless lives thrown away for oil that we could have bought on the open market. Except now, fossil fuels are going to be less profitable than clean energy. We are spitting on the idea of sovereignty, the health of our planet, and international law just to make a few already ludicrously rich guys even richer. All of this is a revolting cocktail of corruption. Part greed, part power, part racism, part distraction. Distraction from what, you may ask? Well, everything that Trump is screwing up. And that includes the Epstein files, which I mention because invading Venezuela is in the Epstein files. In 2018, Jeffrey Epstein had an entire text exchange with someone where he said we needed to take over Venezuela because they have more oil reserves than Saudi Arabia, and called it soon to be the best investment of a lifetime. But back to the attacks. All of this is so fucked up. The President of the United States is about to drag us into another forever war without congressional approval. I'm scared of that, but I am equally scared that Congress is just going to play along. like they did in 2003. I mean, you don't want to be pro drug trafficking, right? Even if we've given zero proof for our claims. We need Democrats right now to grow a fucking spine and stand up to Trump, along with any Republicans of conscience. And that doesn't mean strongly worded letters. This man needs to be impeached, convicted, and removed as soon as humanly possible. This is literally what impeachment is for. And I don't want to hear any excuses. 30 years ago, lying about a blowjob was a convictable offense. Starting a war without congressional approval has to be one too. Draft articles of impeachment today. And in the meantime, until that happens, we cannot allow Congress to sign off on this. Congress alone holds the power to declare war. The military is not supposed to answer to just a single man. It is ultimately responsible to the people and those that the people elect. I'm a former journalist running for Congress, and I'm not just making this video as a commentator and a candidate, but also as a person. I grew up in the wake of 9/11, and I watched as we sowed terror and threw away countless lives for the greed of just a few men. And I refuse to let that happen again if I have anything to say about it. That means holding Republicans accountable. But as we saw in 2003, it also means making sure that our party is held accountable. You don't get to side with the military-industrial complex just because it's a good golden parachute or an extortive bully. Because in the end, our representatives answer to us. And we want to make our country better, not everywhere else in the world worse.